はい、次のタイトルでございますが、レインバールド・ダウンプアー、リビレットストーリーとなっております。こちら現在、解説の方がいらっしゃらないのかな。そうですね。解説は現在いらっしゃらないみたいです。もしこのゲーム知ってるよとか、解説してみたいって方いらっしゃいましたら、ぜひご参加いただけるとありがたいです。先日のレイドマラソンで見たやつ。そうなんですね。ちゃんと見れてないんで確認しなかっ
Thanks
たな。
everyone for joining us for Awesome Games Done Quick 2025, powered by Twitch. We are so excited to be here for you, with you, raising money for Prevent Cancer Foundation. I want to give you a few updates on some of our incentives that have opened, tell you what's going on here. We are super excited. There is so much going on for today. We've got some awesome games. Who'd have thought Awesome Games Done Quick has got some awesome games, but we have got them coming up for you shortly. We have after the next few runs, we've got UFO 50, which currently has an upgrade warp tank gold to cherry incentive. We need to raise $10,000
では
to
少
make
し
that
時間がある
happen,
みたい
and
な
we
の
are
で、
over
さ
halfway
っき言
towards
いそび
making
れ
that
た
possible. So
こ
get
の
your
イベントの
donations
紹
in
介
to
を
see
させ
that
ていただきたい
incentive
と思い
met.
ます。
We have also
現在、
just
ジャパニーズ
opened
リスト
up
リーム
two
では、
new
オーサムゲーム
incentives.
ズ
These
ザンクイッ
are
ク
Super
2025の
Meat
様子
Boy
を公認
upgrading
で日
to
本語ミラー
all
配信して
light
おります。
levels that will upgrade the
このイ
category
ベ
so
ント
we
は
get a
ゲームズ
little
ザン
bit
クイック
more
のチャ
of
ン
the
ネルで行わ
awesome
れてい
games
る
done quick
プ
for
リベ
you
ント
as
キャン
well.
サーファウン
We're
デーションを
raising
支援する
$10,000 to
チャ
make
リ
that
ティー
happen, and
RTA イ
folks,
ベン
I
トで
know we
す。
can do it.
今回のイベン
We
トは
also
アメリカ
have
のペンシル
just
バニア州にあ
opened
るウィン
the
ダムグラン
World
ド
19
ツアーゲで行
showcase
われてい
for
ます。
Super Mario Maker
今
for
回のイベン
Nintendo
トの寄付先
3DS.
であるプ
If
リベ
that
ントキャン
incentive
サー
is
ファウン
met,
デーシ
you
ョン
get to
は
raise
アメリカに本拠地
$15,000.
を置く慈
Chart
善団
Bunny will
体で、
showcase
が
what
んの早期
normally
発見
skip
と
levels
予
from
防
the
を通じて、
bonus world
あら
World
ゆる人々
19
の命を
after
救
the
うこと
main
を使命
Super
としてい
Mario
ま
Maker
す。
for Nintendo 3DS
イベント
run.
では寄付と
These
関連し
levels
て、
are
カテゴリーの
intended to
変
be the
更、エ
hardest
ンディングの選
levels
択
in
など
the
が予
game.
定され、
We all love
各項
Mario,
目
so
ご
if
と
you
に
want to
設
see
定され
more
た
of
目
it,
標
now
寄
is the
付金
time to get
額
your
を達成した
donations
際
in
に
and
行われ
apply
ます。
them toward those
また、寄
incentives.
付金額を表に見立てたビッドボーによってキャラクター名や選択肢などが決定
Also,
され
just
るこ
want
と
to
も
take
あ
a
ります。
moment to read a
寄付
donation
先、
from our
寄付額
last
に関
run,
する報
Puyo
酬
Puyo
は、
Puzzle Pop. We have a
クリマーク AGDQ の
$1,000
URL から
donation.
ご確認をい
And
ただけ
that
ます。
comes in from
こ
Squirrel
のイベント、
Nutcase,
まだ
who
まだ
says,
始まっ
"Give
たばかりで
peas
す。
a chance." 2025
12月
hype.
午後3、12日午後3時まで、24時間注意は行われず開催しておりますので、無理のない範囲でぜひとも最後まで
Thank
お
you so
楽
much
し
for
み
these
くだ
donations.
さ
Also,
い。
just want to remind everyone that we do have several bid wars that have just opened as well. We have the UFO
さあ、このタイト
50
ル、
color
私
choice
も
and
存
the
じ上げま
final
せん。
select
全く
ambiance
知りま
from
せん。
UFO 50, as
なん
well
なら、レー
as
ダー RTA で見た
Save or
っ
Kill
て
the
方が
Final
いらっしゃい
Yoshi
ま
in
すけど、
Super
僕
Mario
は
Maker
し
for
っかり見
Nintendo
逃しました。
3DS. And let's not forget our friends Dandy and Randy DX versus Dumpy and Bumpy,
解説
the
できるって
Game Bid
方
War. So that is
いらっしゃいましたら、
upcoming
ぜ
as
ひ
well.
ご
If
協
you get
力
a
をお
chance to
願いい
donate,
たし
don't
ま
forget to
す。
apply it toward incentives. I can see the UFO 50 upgrade is happening there. You'll love to see it. It's climbing up, folks, and you are making that possible. Now, with that, I am so excited for this next run. I'm getting the signal that we are ready to move toward Rain World Downpour. This is the
そろ
Rivulet
そろ
story
始まっ
run
て
by
1日経
Ice.
つか
So
経たない
Ice,
か
the
というとこ
floor
ろでご
is
ざいますが、
yours.
皆さん、どうでしょう、AGDQ2025。お楽しみいただけてますでしょうか。
Hello everyone. My name's
もう
Ice
これから
37.
1時、
I
2
have
時と
a
深夜になってき
lot
ますので
to
ね、
talk about today. So this
無理を
is
しな
going
い
to
よ
be
う
a
に
Rivulet story that I'm going to be showing off.
自分の体
I'm
調
going to
と
assume
相談
that
を
most
して
people
お
watching
楽
this
しみく
run
だ
knows
さい。
nothing about Rain World or otherwise, so I'm going to say a little bit. This is a survival platformer. Now, when you think about a lot of different games, well, when you look at this game initially, you may think about it being like Ori and the Blind Forest or Hollow Knight, but in reality is not really that much alike them. And additionally, when it comes to the
猫ちゃん
movement,
かわいい。
instead of it you being a glorified square that has movement abilities, we are a creature with 2 body chunks that can be manipulated. So we'll be doing certain
レイ
manipulation
ンワー
at
ルド
certain
結
times
構
to help out
難
the
しい
movement.
ゲームっていう
Otherwise,
話は
when
聞
we're
い
in
て
a
るんです
standing
けど、
state, I can press
それ以
diagonally
上よく
down
知
and
らないん
jump
ですよ
to do a
ね。
slide, and then a second jump to jump out of the slide, and that'll be some of the basic movement. That will be the base building blocks going forward. Now, basically to consider, if we were playing Celeste, it would be, instead of the dash being a single button, I have to press a combination of inputs. Otherwise, we're going to be playing as Rivulet today, which is the aquatic slugcat. We have much faster base speed. We're also playing Rivulet through the
見た感じ
Downpour
あれですね。
DLC, which is a
スーパー
DLC
ミートボー
released
イ
only
みたいな
2
感じ
years
なんです
ago
ね。
now. Wow, time flies. And I was very lucky to be able to work as QA for a little bit of Downpour. Very happy to be able to show it off here today. Now I am ready to start. The timer is going to start as soon as the new game circle on the bottom middle
ニ
here
ューゲームをした
fills
瞬
up.
間にタイムスター
So
ト
we're
みた
gonna
いです。
go 3, 2, 1,
スタ
start.
ート、グッドラックです。
Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about what's actually going to happen. There's a lot that happens in this game. I only have 47 minutes again. I have so much I want to talk about. It's not going to be enough time. So we're going to do the most
さ
important
あ、
things for
ス
the
タ
Rivulet
ー
story
トし
run.
ました。
Again, with the survival platformer. So with this game, we in
ち
the
なみ
bottom
に
left,
今
you see
回
these
ですけ
circles
ど、キャ
filling
ラ
as
ク
I
タ
eat
ー
these
が
fruit.
リベレッ
Get
トと
past
い
the
う
bar to be able
キ
to
ャラクターになっ
rest
ているみた
because
いで
this is
す。
rain world. Rain will be happening, and rain is really bad. So after about, I believe it's somewhere between 4 to 6 minutes, the rain will come, and
ちな
anything
み
that's
にこれ名前懐かしい
outside
な。
a shelter will die. And so we have designated shelters that we need to get to after eating a certain amount of food so we can hibernate through the rain, essentially. So right now, I'm getting a certain amount of food, and then I'm going to be bringing some extra into the shelter so I don't have to eat it later. Now again, we are playing Rivulet. We are the much faster base speed slugcat. Additionally, we have much larger lungs when underwater. We are not immune to drowning, but we do deal with it much better than others. We are at our first shelter here, which allows us to save. Every time we save, our karma goes up. I'm going to do a certain glitch called karma caching that allows us to go to whatever karma level we want, that being the symbol we'll see in the bottom left. Essentially, I'll be starving, and this will be forcing us to save improperly, and then I'll be quitting out. That'll just increase our karma and with no bad ramifications, and allows us to climb the karma ladder to get to the maximum karma we want, which will allow us to go through different gates, which are the transitions between different zones. Now, the one thing I've forgotten to talk about here is that our two commentators here, White Paws is here from the Orient Blind Forest community. I love the Orient Blind Forest community. If you haven't seen the Covert Muffin run yesterday, I recommend it. Additionally, we have Rivulet here. Now, if you have any words of encouragement, now would be the time.
Wah wah.
Thank you. Do you have anything else to say as well?
Wah wah wee wah.
Oh, yes. All right. Thank you for the words and encouragement, Rivulet. Now, I quit out accidentally at a time I wasn't supposed to, but that is fine. So we gotta do one
初期
more
バージョン
of
のみに
these.
使えるバグ
And
技を
again,
使っ
with any
て
glitches
春
that
巻きを
exist
上
in
げ
the
てい
game
ます
with。the Downpour patch,
なるほど。
all of them were actually patched out, but we
お、
had the developers were kind enough to put in the vanilla
有識者の方がいらっ
exploits
しゃるそうで、
checkbox that we could check it,
助かっ
and
て
it
おり
would
ます。
bring most of them back, at least all the ones that were actually good and didn't crash the game. And so now that I am exiting and back to the maximum karma, we are ready to continue to go. I'm starting in an area called Drainage System, which is basically at the bottom of the world. We're going to be going into an area called Chimney Canopy, which has a new area with the DLC called the Gutter that is connected to the drainage system that we're in now. Now, if White Paws, if you have anything to add, now would be a good time.
Yep. So on our way up, we see our probably one of our first features here. This is the scavenger. Scavengers are like the player-like equivalent creature in this game. So they act just like the player. They can grab spears. They can throw rocks. They're very smart. And they are based on a reputation system. Ooh. As Rivulet, we start with bad reputation. So we are most like scavengers are most likely to target us and maybe kill us. So scavengers bad, we want to avoid them at all costs. But over there, only a couple of them spawned. They generally travel in groups, so it's good to see only a couple. Then, just to recap real quick, I also mentioned a lot of stuff about the movement earlier on, but our basics are, just to recap, slides, bounces, backflips, and rolls. Then you can combine a lot of these inputs together to make some really cool stuff, like for example the slides.
この先のゲートが一定以上のカルマチじゃないと取れない。ああ、なるほど。
Which are essentially with
それをいじること
being
で
fast enough, if you press diagonal
通れる
to a
道
wall
ができたり
and
できなかったり
jump
するんだ。
at a certain time, you can wall
ありが
bounce.
とうございます。
Rivulet is so fast that Rivulet can just reach that speed naturally. So it makes wall bouncing a lot more lenient than it is with other characters, for example. But it is so fast, and you will see it a lot in this upcoming section as well. Now we are going to be talking about a trick called the ploink. So just to make things basic, we're going to be tricking the game into thinking we're going to be swimming outside. You're going to see this like kind of crazy warp that Ice is going to be setting up here. But in the gist of it, Ice is going to want to change to the all force state as he lands into the water, and then he's just going to warp all the way up there. Now, if you want to take it over.
Bad spot for this guy.
Creature.
So with Rivulet, there's two things I want to say. We're not going to run into too many creatures. That is Cyan Lizard. That is one of them that can show up. I'm going to do some wall pounces here. Additionally, because Rivulet is so fast, they have their natural counter that happens.
この
That
ゲーム
being
僕本当
well,
に
one,
知
the
らなく
spider.
て、どういうルールで進んでるのかもさっぱりわからないので、
And the fact that
もし喋れ
with
る
the
解説できる方いらっしゃいましたら、
normally you
ご
have
参加いた
somewhere
だけると
between
めちゃめちゃ助かります。
and 13
サクサク進みすぎて簡単なのか難しいのかもよく分かってないんですよね。こういうの見ると簡単そうに見えちゃうの本当良くないですよね。
Forgotten exactly. I'm trying to do good chain up here. We got a decent chain, didn't go the whole way. That's fine. And so we're basically going to be riding on the edge of that storm right at the end of this cycle and the last major cycle of this run. I say cycle as in the time before it rains and the whole system going through that. Now, doing some specific setups for some wall pounces and setups across. And again, as White Paws said, Rivulet just has the natural speed to just run into walls and do wall pounces. So you can't do this easily.
いや、これ硬そうじゃんってやると死ぬほど難しいっていうのが
Very interesting on that end. Additionally, because of the
いく
high
らでもあ
base
るんです
speed,
よ
the
ね。
base movement, like the slides that I'm doing, I don't want this rock anymore, is a little bit both harder and easier because, oh, it's a party here today.
今の当たっちゃいけないの。
Fine. I'm going to be setting up a specific turn storage here. There was a lizard there. Don't worry about it. Backflip. So I was talking about a few things. We'll talk about what just happened there.
この目的地がどこ
Essentially,
にあるか
to be able to do
知ってる
a
人しか知らない
backflip,
と
you。need to turn, but you can
大変そう。
store the state of the turn under certain conditions. So I have to immediately turn, slide, and grab the pole, and that will allow us to keep the turn state and then be able to backflip off the pole, which you cannot normally. Back to what we were saying a second ago, Rivulet's base speed is so high that we actually get a lot of distance on our slides. And so in certain places where we'd be able to slide as other characters, we just slide too far off an edge.
だからレーダー RTA でも走られてたって話ですけ
However,
ど、
Rivulet also has a bigger
だから
window for
見
jumping
逃
out
し
the
てしまっ
slides.
て、
So in a lot of ways, it's easier because it's not as hard to perform a lot of the advanced movement.
中できてないっ
Now
ていうの
talk
が
about this game and why it's different
Right up the
from a
mountains.
lot of other games like Ori and the Blind Forest or Hollow Knight is because the game, when you start off, you're going to be taught the complete basics. You're going to be taught that fruit is food. You can pick up spears and rocks and throw them, and you're going to be taught how to do a basic pounce. We're not going to be doing a basic pounce at all because it is very slow. And
キャラデザ
but
か
all
わ
of
いい。
this movement is stuff that you can figure out as you play the game, or otherwise learn from talking to people or looking at various resources about it. Almost fell off there. And we're going to see a little bit something interesting here, that being a graffiti of GDQ. So one other thing, we'll get to see this graffiti. So these two were by an artist friend of mine named Proler, and that marks the beginning of our change of movement mechanics. So Rivulet is very much the change in movement mechanics constantly. We had a lot of the wall pounces a second ago. We're going to have a lot of grappling with this grapple bug here. So we press jump to be able to grapple in the air. And if you want to talk a bit more about that, White Paws, that would also be good.
Yep.
イカって動
So
けばい
this
いってわ
section
けじゃないん
here
だ。
is pretty crazy. As you can see,
Grasso.
the gray area at the bottom of the screen, this little gray gradient, means that if you touch that, you're essentially dead. But the grapple worm is a very powerful creature that
色エリアを結ぶゲ
there
ー
are
ト、
two different
走るゲー
ways
トがあっ
of
て、
kind of
目
moving
撃
around.
シェル
There's
ターで
this
眠ること
auto
で
aim
彼
that
の
you can do
マ
by
ーチ
pressing
を。
up right or up left.
Took that safe.
あ
Yeah, very good. And then
Eh.
there is the oh my god, the fixed angle
ニコマ
that
に
you
動く
can
だけじゃ
do
ダ
by
メな
pressing
ん
just
だ。
left or right, which is faster. It's what Ice is mainly gonna be using during this section, just because you can gain some momentum off of that. This is a super scary part, but Ice got it down there super well.
これは確かに難しそうだな。
But yeah, if you wanna take it
め
over
ちゃめ
from
ちゃ
here.
難しいって話だけ聞いてるんですよ
I
ね。
did some of that sliding down a bit slow because sometimes I don't trust my keyboard, even though I just got a new one because it's very easy to go a little bit too fast. We're going to see our first of the really annoying enemies there.
ファイ
So
アアクショ
if
ン
you
も
didn't
特
already
定
be
の
able to tell,
アイ
blue
テム
is
みたいなの持っ
bad
てないと
and
で
will
きな
kill
いん
you.
だ。
And the giant moving
なる
guy
ほ
will definitely be killing us. No more grapple for the rest of the run, so say goodbye, grapple worm, for now. And then we'll have another change of movement mechanics in just a bit.
こういう
The
ゲー
big
ム苦
scary
手なんだよ
part
な。
of this cycle is over as long as I don't jump into the ceiling. In this part, I'm gonna do an extended slide and go across and then grab this last berry. And now, Threech, if you have something you would like to say, now would be the time.
Thank you so much, and I absolutely do. I want to let everyone know we are
なん
creeping
だ
up
や
on
有識者の方たちも来ていた
$160,000
だい
raised for
てて、
Prevent Cancer
す
Foundation.
ごく助かってます
And
ね。
one of the ways that we will get there are through donations, such as a $30 donation from Tactical Ferret, who says, Ice, you are an amazing runner and a huge inspiration. Good luck with Riv, and remember, you can always save time by plunking in memory crypts.
No, we will not do that. So, Tactical Ferret, Regon, Constructive Cynicism are three people who have really pushed the Rivulet story run to where it is now. And Tactical Ferret and Regon helped me quite a lot with optimizing a lot of the smaller things when I was learning the run.
みっちゃ
I
ん。
really am a big Saint player, is the big thing. Now we're changing move mechanics. You might already notice it a little bit. I am in 0G.
どこを
It's
通
gonna
れる
turn
か
on and
わ
off
かんないな、これ。
constantly. And now we get to talk a little bit
ど
about
こを通
what's
ってるのか
actually
全然わか
going
んないや。
on. This is not simply just funny creature game where we play the silly rivulet that does things. Although we are playing the silly rivulet that does things, this is still very much a very serious run with a lot of very hard things that you need to pull off. Right now we're a bit at the whim of the RNG of the cycles turning on and off, of the gravity turning on and off.
ありがとうございます。
Tentacle isn't out, so that's good.
制限時間がなくなりますが、
So,
重力が独特になる。
also want to talk about the end of why I'm glad
移動できれば日が一瞬光
being
ってる
able
ので、
to
それで判別できる。
support the
あ
charity of
あ、なるほど。
Cancer Foundation.
ああ、そういうことか。
This is not good actually. Give me a second.
有識者の皆さんで
I made too much sound.
僕の視界は成り立っています。ありがとうございます。
I don't like it in 0G. That's fine. Okay.
あ、今の点線ですね。なるほど。
Why I'm glad I'm doing the Prevent Cancer Foundation charity is as someone who has a brother that had cancer and was able to fight through it is something that personally is something that I care about a lot.
独特の
Additionally,
雰囲気だな。
on the game side, and why it's very relevant on this end is all this blue stuff. So we essentially climbed up a giant superstructure. We're in a giant superstructure suspended in the air, and this is a giant robot that we are in. We can go and meet the puppet of the robot, and he can talk to us through the puppet, but we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna run in and steal his power core because we're Rivulet and we do these things. And then we're gonna run away. But what's really happening, and if
僕
we
も
did
絶
go
対迷子になっ
we
て
learn that all this blue stuff is rot.
迷子
or
と
more
デスを
accurately
繰り返して
said,
多
is
分投げちゃうかもしれないな。
and okay, that's the
苦手なんだよな、こういうの。
Good. So essentially, Pebbles is like, I am dying to this cancer. I will die to this cancer. I'm not going to be
よく迷
around
わずにできるよな。
too much longer. And so I want you to take my power core and bring it to my sister who has fallen down into the ocean not too much far away. And now that I've said the
あ、
more serious
そんなあ
part,
なたに
we'll talk
レ
a
イ
bit
ン
more
ワールド
about
リミッ
what
クス。
goes on with that
へ
later.
え。
Power core, I've also picked up a
有
little
益な
blue
情
thing
報をあり
a
がとうござい
second
ます。
ago. I'm gonna do the funny thing here.
ので
I wanna do
調べてみ
this.
ます。
Now we stolen the power core. I've also eaten a little glowing thing. The little glowing thing is legitimately one of 5 Pebbles' neurons. So I've eaten part of his brain, and if you now notice, there's a difference with my character, and that
知
I'm
ら
now
ないゲーム
glowing.
と出会え
I've
るっていう
been
のがこういうイベント
enlightened
のいいところな
upon
ので
eating a
ね、
brain cell.
非常に助かっております。
Additionally, in the terms of the power cell, this is the rarefaction cell, ball or orb. I personally like to call it a ball because Rivulet be balling right now. Right now I can turn it on. I can turn it on whenever I want. It is either I go faster in water when it's on, or if I'm in the air, I have much reduced gravity and otherwise will fall much slower, which will be coming into play in a bit. Again, we are in a superstructure suspended in the air. We went up the left side and entered from the bottom in underhang. We're going to be exiting out directly where we came from, and then going down the right side, underside of the place, and then down the
はい
right leg
僕も
until
積
we
みゲー
get
たくさんなの
to
で今
shoreline,
年
where it looks to
崩
the
していこうと
moon.
思います
The other robot has fallen into the ocean. Now, as I make it through this last room here, do you have 2 or 3 donations?
あ
That would
体
be
力管理も
great.
ちゃんとしないといけないんだ。
Absolutely. I want to give everyone an update on the
これ大
UFO
変
50
だな。
upgrade incentive for up to upgrade Warp Tank Gold to Cherry. We have passed halfway. We are at 66% of that being made, and it has to be made through just a few more games. So let's make that happen. In the meantime, thank you so much to everyone helping for that incentive and for our total to hit $160,000. We got a $37 donation from Sneak Dog, who says, hello, GDQ. Just showing some love, wishing my favorite runner a great
挟ま
run.
って
Don't
く
forget our
る
favorite tech and
挿絵めちゃめちゃ可愛い
swallow.dll.
の。
Slug life.
It's true. Must swallow the DLL. If you have one more, that would be great.
Absolutely. We have a $100 donation from
可愛い
Chaos
猫
Set,
ちゃ
who
ん
says,
が
oh boy, a speed run of our favorite wet mouse. Count
嫌な
us
気持ち
in.
を散らしてし
Gonna
まうゲー
enjoy
ムな
this
のか。
run of the unreasonably fast Skug.
We are the Skug Cat. I probably didn't say it earlier. I just kind of said Rivulet. We are a Slug Cat. Depending on how good I do in this run, I am either more Slug or more
厳
Cat.
しいゲームじゃ。
I think this run's going pretty well so far. No major issues. However, this is the killer cycle, the ender of runs more than others. Mostly because of one of the DLLs in this next room. So DLLs, you can see one in the bottom right there, is a moving personification of the cancer itself. And so essentially, there's one that will 100% always be directly in our path every single time. That's a fun little drop there. And it'll be right here, depending on its... Ooh. Depending on how it acts, I can manipulate its AI a little bit, and that worked out really well. That shouldn't have really worked because I rubbed directly into the core. Essentially, it needs to grab me with one of its arms to actually be able to kill me. I don't think I'm going to make the cycle on this one. Turned off. When I turn on the ball, it stays on it for a certain amount of time, and it goes a cooldown for a certain amount of time. Bunch of scary jumps here.
That was beautifully executed, by the way.
It's been
はい、
something.
ゲーム途中ですが、
That guy specifically
午前
has
1時
been
と
the
なり
killer
ま
of
したの
so
で、
many runs
ここで司会の
that
交
I've
代をさせていただきたいと思います。引き続き AGDQ2025 お楽しみくださ
in
い。
particular, and I'm glad to be able to show off the good setup for it. This guy is in a good spot. Taking it a bit slow. Now we have passed the underhang section. We are now going down the leg in particular. And now I'm hoping to not see a nice man right exactly where that guy is. So the one problem, well, one thing about Rain World is that we're completely silent when we're on all fours, but the ball we are carrying is going to hit the wall as soon as I enter the room. That was good timing. We can go through enemies if we're both going through the same pipe
ここか
between
らの
rooms.
司会
Game
進
being
行
room
木
based.
島しじまが行
So
わせて
that
いただき
worked
ます。
out well there.
何卒
So
よろしく
entering
お
that
願
room
いい
was a
た
bit
しま
awkward.
す。
We want to fall. Very nice. So Rivulet's arms are made of steel, of course. So we can just grab the pole, even though if we fell that full distance and hit the ground, we would die instantly normally.
このレインワールドダウンプアですが、名前しか知らないゲームなので、有識者の皆さんよろしくお願いいたします。
I want to see where he is. That's good. Second drop is right here.
助けてください。
Very nice. And then up.
良い
Perfect.
ゲームであるということしか
Last
知ら
little
ない。
man here. Awkward place. Gonna make some noise. Kind of wish I didn't make noise now, because that was not how I wanted him to move. And now he's moving back into the really annoying place. If I can't see him, it's not great. Slow do it, so I can tell what's going on, and he can't hear me. Normally I just jump
これは雰囲気的には個人的には
down.
めちゃく
That's
ちゃ好みだな。
fine.
Oh.
But it's easy to accidentally get stunned, and then I'm just right where that guy is. We're now exiting the exterior, and we're entering Shaded Citadel, specifically an area called Memory Clips. We are going to be in the shadow, or at least directly underneath the giant superstructure that was above us. Because we're really late in the timeline, we're second to last in the timeline. So much of this area has degraded and has now fallen down into the area we're going in now. So we're not out of the woods of annoying blue things. If we are grabbed by any of the wall tentacles, it's basically we die instantly and we go back to a last save. Big jump. The ploink that Tentacle Fair was talking about, I would do in the next room, but it's really, really scary because it would be one that I'd have to do at a massive diagonal out of this small puddle where you can get stunned, the ball falls out of bounds, and then you just can't do anything. Also, we get to see Orange Lizard. Now, because Rivulet, we're so fast and we go places that we're really not going to see a lot of creatures. These are really the only lizards we're going to see. Orange Lizards, compared to every other lizard that has their own color and abilities, Orange Lizards, if one sees you, they all see you.
まあでもあれですよね、最初の方だけ
Another annoying
図が
section
あって
right
後半部
here
分は
that
マ
I
ジで
want to make
実力
sure
勝負っ
goes
ていうの
well.
は結構
Not the best
珍しくは
of
ない
angles,
感じでは
but
あり
it
ますが
worked. That DLL is really annoying. We can bump directly into its core and jump off of it, and sometimes it can still kind of catch up to us. Orange is in a bad spot. If the Orange Lizards have the high ground to you, do not challenge them. Just don't do it. Now, we are gonna go a little jump over this. And now we're going to be entering Shaded Citadel proper, where I get to see the 3 kelps that I hate. If you have 1 donation right now, Threech, that would also be great.
Absolutely. We have a $100 donation from Rando Man who says, "Go Wet Mouse, go fast and beat cancer."
Yes. Right. So I get to see the 3 kelps that I hate in just a moment. There's one. Essentially, they're giant gooey arms where only the tip can actually grab us. The second one's really annoying because it gets a lot of time to react to us getting close to it. And then the third one here. Goodbye. No more of that. We're going to see spiders for the next 2 rooms here. So just be aware of that. Bunch of small spiders. Ooh, didn't get that quite right. Funny spiders that are scared of light and then will combine into a mecha spider that will try to kill us, as spiders do in real life, of course. Now, we're going to do a big jump past this giant group of spiders. I'm going to slowly scare high enough away. That's not great. Maybe there's a rock. Ooh, that's really unfortunate, actually. I'm going to have to do that section again. What is the time they were at? I think we're good to do that again. It's not the best place to have that issue. I haven't messed up that slide in a long time either. We'll go forward with this. That is really not a good death. That shouldn't happen either, because that's not a threat. But those spiders dip down much more than I would have liked. But we have accounted for an issue like that in the estimate. If we have that issue again, I can load a save and go from there, however. So now that means we get to do all the really hard part again, which is great. And as I get to the bit of annoying part in just a second, Threech, if you have a donation, that would be good.
You are getting so much love for this run. We have $25 from Some Dingus, who says, "So awesome to see Rain World at GDQ. Good luck on Underhang Ice."
Yes. So far, that was not the issue, which is good. So it shouldn't be an issue the second time, of course. Now, that is, again, really unfortunate that I died there, because that's not something I should die to, but I kind of just went for it instead of waiting a little bit longer for them getting scared away, because we were getting a pretty decent time. Get to show this section off again. So one thing that this also allows me to get to talk about while we're doing this, so people understand, we're playing Rivulet Downpour, and so base game are the characters Monk, Survivor, and Hunter, while Downpour are the characters, 6 new characters, with Rivulet being one of them. Downpour specifically, let me
この子お腹減るんですね。
because this guy is in the way. Give me just a second.
あららら
The
ら
one
ら
thing I
ら
want
ら
to talk about Downpour is
で
that
シェル
it
ター
is
に入っていなかったから
not made by the original developers and was instead
ロ
made
スになっ
by
てしまっていると。
fan
あ、なるほど。あり
mod
がとうございます。
creators, that being the More Slugcats team and a lot of other surrounding
有識
mods
者助かる。
combined together as official content for the Downpour update, which I was fortunate enough to work as QA for the More Slugcats team. The big thanks to Will, Bird, and Andrew, as they're the main two that I talked to for a lot of that. I'm gonna take that slow for a second. Big scary room again. I know it's kind of looking simple, but if I do one misinput, you kind of just jump straight into
本当だ、結構
the void. So we're
戻っ
past
ちゃってま
that
すね。
part.
Grapple worm was grabbing that
さっき見た
that
光景
long
が。
legs.
At least it's not going to grab us, or at least we're going to hope it doesn't do that in the next room. With this one daddy long leg, that was an issue earlier as well.
Yeah, something that you will see, like after dying and stuff, is that this game is super dynamic in how
逆に言うと、
things occur. So
赤の周り
everything
に
in
い
the
るのはグリッ
environment
チは
is
な
gonna
い。
be
ああ、な
different
る
in
ほど。
terms of
って
creatures
いう
and
こ
whatnot.
と
So
は、それ以外
locations
はもうほ
are
ぼ
gonna be a
実
little
力勝負っていう
different.
こと。
They spawn in the same place, but as time
で
goes on, it's just they're
か
gonna
つ
be in different
まあ
spots.
さっきシェルターに入らなかったのはどっちかっていうと攻めたっていうふうにまあ捉えて
The
も
main
いい
thing
のかな。
about a
そ
lot
し
of
た
the
ら
creatures, we're going to be mostly dealing with DLLs as we have, of course. But the main thing about most of the creatures in this game is that they all have, ooh, that's a really bad spot. They all have their own personality values. I believe there are 6 generally.
ですよね。うん。
Trying to make sound here. So he moves backwards, so it's a bit unfortunate. Can't turn across the corner. All have personality values, and depending on the values, depends on how they
ありがとうござい
react
ま
to
す。
certain stimulus, as well as how
現在、
they
プレイされているのはレインワールドダウンプア。
okay. This man,
カテゴリーは
as
なんて読むこ
well
れ
as how they do
リブレット、
certain
ストー
values
リ
on how
ー
they're
か
gonna
な
move and otherwise.
となっております。
Moving across
タイ
here
ム的には
again.
まあ、EST 的には、折り返し地点にはなっているんですが、私はこのゲーム、名前しか存じ上げないので、有識者の方に助けてもらいながら、
Don't like
実
this
況をしてお
spot
りま
as
す。
usual, so I'm gonna go over here. I like it when he's a bit higher.
実況というか司会進行をしております。
And we're entering Shaded Citadel again, and we're not gonna jump into spiders. All right, if you have 2 more donations, that would be great.
Absolutely, and I'd actually like to give the chat an update on
なるほ
our
ど。
incentives that are
敵が
currently
湧く
open
位置
to
は固
upgrade
定。
Warp
ただ
Tank
し、
Gold to
動き
Cherry.
が
We're
完
running
全ラ
out
ン
of
ダム。
time on that one. We are just over
ついですね、それ。
$6,900 out of $10,000 to make that happen. And folks, we've just got a few games left. In
似たよ
addition,
う
I want to
な
remind everyone
感
about
じ
the
の
Super
RTA、
Meat
ま
Boy
あ、
incentive to
なので
upgrade to
こういうゲームでは
all
ないけ
light
れども、
levels. We need to raise $10,000 for that incentive.
敵
So
の配
please
置
get
は
those donations
決ま
in.
ってるけ
Thank you
ど、
so much to Saren, who sends in
その後は
$50
全
and
部
says,
乱数み
Rivulet,
たい
go
な
fast.
ゲーム
Cheering
や
on
ってま
ice
すけ
for
れ
the
ど
great
も、
run. Less than
めちゃく
3.
ちゃきついっすよね。
Yeah, so Saren is another artist that made another piece
お
of graffiti
さ
that
っき
we'll
の
see
大ジャンプのところ
in
に
a
戻っ
bit.
てきた。
So we'll talk about that as it happens. So thank you for donation. And again, yeah, that Super Meat Boy incentive. Very interested in seeing that one. Ball's gonna turn off, so I'm not gonna do that jump until it does. And Orange Wizard Land. No high ground havers today, but slightly annoying spots. So I waited till he got closer. And going into the big jump room. Jumping over.
Another thing that I don't know if we have mentioned is that this cycle is like very tough because you have to do everything kind of fast. You're on a timer, of
Yep.
course, and you have to reach a place very far away, all within that set timer. Otherwise, you will die. So we're kind of bound into going a little bit fast without
Yep, I
making
have
major
to
mistakes.
綺麗なゲームだ
do
な。
certain things just to be able to have the time backflip here.
That was good.
So the one thing I want to talk about that I haven't talked about earlier is so as talking about with Pebbles, and he has a cancer and he's inevitably going to die to it, us taking the ball out will also inevitably doom him to fall into the ground, just like Looks to the Moon did. The main thing that's going on is that you may notice that I've gone much longer than the 4 to 6 minutes that I talked about that Rivulet has for before it rains. And that is because 5 Pebbles is actually the reason why it rains. He's doing so many calculations, and otherwise the rot is making him overheat a lot, that he needs a lot of water cooling, and so he evaporates a lot of water that causes the torrential rains. And because we took the ball out, the cycle timer has gone from that low cycle timer to the maximum cycle timer. So now I have 13 minutes and 20 seconds. All right, we're not gonna do stupid things with spiders today. Turn the ball on. Oh my goodness. Don't do this again to me. A little awkward slide over the bump. Okay,
All right.
there it is that time. All right. The slide's a bit awkward because you need a specific distance from the wall to actually get the
ショが出たという
wall
こと
pounce
は
that you want from it.
難所は抜け
And
たって
while the
感じ
ball
で
is
すかね
on。as well, just because of how that works. Now we are in Shaded Citadel proper again, and we are going to, I'm going to pay attention to that spider in the top left right now, because that's one of the big ones that can potentially be bad. It's good that I see him though, because it means he's not later on. You know, we get a big setup for these jumps here, and I'm also going to see their next graffiti. This is by Saren Stone or Fahrenheit. AGDQ 2025. The ambient light is kind of fading it out on the left, but actually fitting it in the game and having it being ravaged by the in-game stuff is always cool to see. Now, while we're looking at that graffiti, I actually ate a karma flower. Now we're gonna talk about that. There'll be a secret surprise for later about what that does. Otherwise, we are entering Shoreline here. Shoreline is where Looks to the Moon, the second robot we're bringing this power core to, has fallen into the ocean. And so we're gonna be going down into the ocean and putting the power core where it is. And Threech, if you have 2 donations for me, that would be a good time.
I sure do. We've got a
決めた時とか
$100 donation
グリッ
from
チ決めた
Crab,
時とか
who
は
says, what a
ぜひね
fantastic thing to see Rain World and
リアクション
HDQ. The community
して
of
あげ
Rain
てくださ
World,
い。
especially speedrunning, has been nothing short of
あ、
amazing,
そう
and
で
I'm
すね。
happy
なん
to
か
have
お
met
花
and
を
chatted with many
食べ
of
て
them.
ましたね
I。hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Love y'all.
Yeah, thank you, Crab.
Thank you so much. We've got a $37 donation from Shrub from Tomorrow, who says, manifesting good DLL casino with mind. Also, Shrub from Tomorrow redeemed Drop an Anvil on Ice.
カルマっていうのがめちゃくちゃ
So Shrub from Tomorrow and Regon are the
Right,
2 really big top speedrunners, and they pretty much hold most of the world records for a lot of the really big runs, where Shrub does generally the more basic slug cats, while Regon does the more new ones in the Downpour DLC. And I don't know if I just said that tomorrow. Opposite, but they're both really big top runners. Crab is also a big community member. I meant to turn on the ball a little bit earlier to hit a specific timing as we fall down this section here. We're going to be going into an area called Submerged Superstructure. And so essentially what we're supposed to do is we go to Pebbles, we talk to him, he's like, please take my power core out and bring it to Moon. And then we go talk to Moon, and she's like, you need to go into the ocean, there's an access port nearby. We actually talked to neither of them, and then we're just gonna go straight where we need to. This is not good. I've not had that guy be there.
なんか追い
So
かけてきて
that is
る
a aquapede. So in this world, there are centipedes. We saw a bunch of green ones earlier that were flying that are no problem. But centipedes are basically giant batteries. If both heads connect to you, you die instantly to electric shock. And the aquapedes are exceptionally annoying to deal with because they have perfect vision underwater.
So fast.
The fact I accidentally went by him without him killing me is crazy. Outside of that is also just him being there is surprising because he has to actually go in the way, which doesn't actually happen very often. But we're entering submerged superstructure. A lot of our crazy things are kind of coming to an end. There's one creature I'm hoping to not see, that being an eel lizard. We had it show up in practice, so it means it's going to show up in the worst possible place here. The main thing right now is that I gotta make sure I'm not too delayed, so I die to the end of cycle, that being the rain. With the underneath of 5 Pebbles' structure, as well as the area where we're gonna put the ball in, the area becomes electrified. That's unfortunate. I even tried to not get stunned there. Area becomes electrified right where the cutscene is, where I put the ball in if it is raining, because it doesn't want us to do the ending cutscene while the end of cycle is happening, which brings us and cuts us down a bit more time than we'd care for, because usually there's a bit of an end of cycle effect, and then we have like another 30 seconds before we would actually die to the rain. Now we're kind of hoping jetfish don't get too in the way here. Right now, none of them have really shown up. And these guys, of course, are going to bully me, or they're just gonna pretend I'm not here. That guy tried to go for me. And then we're going to see our best friend, the giant jellyfish. Did you know that giant jellyfish go moo? Well, that guy didn't make any sounds today, but giant jellyfish do in fact go moo. Maybe we'll hear them when we're up here. We have a big jump here. We're technically not supposed to do this jump, hence why the pipe is unmarked, but we want to do that jump as it saves a lot of time getting to where this ball needs to go. Now that we are entering the final stretch here, I'm looking for that eel lizard so he's not too much in the way. If you have about 2 donations, now would be a good time.
Absolutely, we do. We have a $33.33 donation from Haborb0, who says, Rivulet, be ballin'.
It's true.
Rivulet be balling.
Thank you for that donation. Just want to remind everyone, we have some incentives that will be closing in a few runs, including the upgrade to all light levels for Super Meat Boy. You want to see more GDQ? I want to see more GDQ. Let's make that happen. Get your donations in and apply them toward that incentive.
Okay, I'm really looking for this eel lizard because it's shown up in basically a lot more practice runs that I'd care for. Normally he doesn't show up at all because he lives pretty far to the right. But if he shows up, I need to be able to react to him when he does. So in the bottom of the screen, I didn't talk about this before, but you'll see all these white dots. All the full dots are essentially the air that I have as Rivulet. Now, every time you press jump, that's horrible. We see him now. That could have been a worse spot in a screen transition. So that was pretty good. Every time I press jump underwater, I do a boost underwater. But we overall get less distance when we do that. The music stopping there is not a great sign because it means the end of the cycle. This is the room that will kill me if I am too slow. So I want to make sure I get there. But basically this whole cycle, I need to not press jump in that last section. And I'm going to turn on the ball. I can quit out. That karma flower I ate earlier. So we need our maximum karma to open the last gate of this run. And I have to quit out to skip a cutscene because the game saves right when the cutscene starts, when I put the ball in, and because it counts as a death when I quit out, and I need to remain at maximum karma, we need a karma flower which reinforces my karma, and instead of me going down in karma level when I die, it will drop the flower on the location of death instead. And so now we are in Pittsburgh, and you know what happens in Pittsburgh? That's right, it's snowing. And I'm sure everyone's really glad to see this right now. I'm pretty sure it's a blizzard outside if I'm not wrong. Otherwise, the main thing that's happening with Rivulet here is now that we've powered off 5 Pebbles, and he was a huge source of heat in the area, so we're finally getting a bit more natural occurrences happening, that being it being much colder in the area and it no longer raining and instead snowing. And I'm looking for certain creatures. There is one now. I hit the
Creature.
pipe. That was funny. There is a scavenger. Oh,
Scavengers.
great.
They didn't show up at all in practice here.
These ones are decidedly
一応
not
この
chill,
ゲームあれなんだ。
but it's
成功
fine.
でき
This
るん
one
だ。
might not be
いいゲー
dead.
ムだ。
She is not.
Mirror's Boulder?
I'm
敵
sure.
に対し
not.
て反撃できるゲームは
Alright.
いいゲームです。
Well, we killed all the scavengers. That was pretty nice. We killed all but one. He left, though. So scavengers, compared to other creatures, they don't have a specific den. If they exist in a region, they can exist anywhere in a region. So we don't
なるほ
often
ど。
run into
丸い
them,
も
but
の
when
を
we do,
あの場所まで
generally
持ってい
not
く
a
の
great
が
time, especially if they have
このゲー
stats
ム
where they're
の目
really
的で、そ
aggressive.
れが終わって、
So we want to avoid that. This is the last gate of the game. The run is actually going to be ending in just a
最後
few rooms here. And so I'll
ラスト
talk
ま
a
で
bit
駆け抜
about
け
the
ていくって
story
感
and what
じ
we'll
か。
see in the ending
ステルスゲー
cutscene as I
ね、
talk
我
about a few
慢
other
が
things.
ね、下手くそだから
Essentially, what has happened
苦
is
手
I
なん
put
で
the
す
ball
ね。
in, and Moon is now been powered up.
あ
As
と
we're going to
ビ
be
ビリ
going
だ
through
か
these
ら、
next rooms, we're going to notice that it has the same effect that Five Pebbles
なるほ
had
ど。
before we took out the ball at his
あれを持
place
っ
and
ていた
turned
か
off his
ら、
power.
今までず
And
っ
that
と逃げ
the
続け
low
るしかなか
grab
っ
will
たんだ
turn
けれ
on
ど
and off.
も、
I'm going to do some
最後の
pull
最
hops
後
as I
で
can.
あれを手放したこと
That one,
で
that's fine.
今手が空いたから、
And
その辺のものを拾ってえいってできるようになったってこと
Moon
です
is
ね。
in
ああ、なる
the
ほど。
next room after this one. The moment we enter that room, it will be time. And so, once Moon has been powered, she's going to be trying to contact Five Pebbles. And time. So yeah, so we're not going to go into the huge amount of lore of why things are the way they are, why Moon is in the ocean or
なんかめっ
otherwise.
ちゃ明るい
But
ところに来た。
essentially, Moon and Five Pebbles, something bad happened. They haven't talked to each other in ages, mostly because
何これ？
Moon's fallen in the ocean and Five Pebbles feels really guilty about everything. But now that Moon's powered, she's going to try to contact him. It's been an unknowable amount of time since they've ever talked to each other, and they're going to talk to each other just for a bit before he inevitably falls into the
おー
ground.
おー
So,
おーおー
but that is everything for the run. We're going to see the cutscene play out. There's a few things I want to talk about, and that being some things that are behind me. I believe you can see it up on screen right in the middle there. You can see a lot of icons, and now all of these
このゲーム
icons
実はちょっと
here
サイバーパンク
are
的なところも入
3D
ってる。
printed and are specific icons of either people or prominent people in the community or friends of mine or the developers themselves, with the top left being Andrew FM. You can hold it there for now.
Stand up.
Andrew FM and Wilbird and Rivulet, also the community organizer, and I believe they helped get the Downpour shirt, so you can order off the Yeti right now. I would recommend that if you're really into Rain World. Additionally, on the top right here, we have Saren and
Wow,
Proler. Those are the two artists that we saw graffiti from earlier, and definitely check them both out. Proler art, and I believe it's Saren on Twitter and Blue Sky, and then Fahrenheit on Twitch for Saren. And then in the other top right, another thing that's going on with the community right now is a Rain World bingo event, a lockout bingo event. We've been working on a mod for the game with Nasu, creating Rain World Bingo, and right now we're in the top 8 matches. So only 8 teams left of our 2v2 lockout bingo, and that is on the Rain World Speedrunning Twitch channel if you want to see more Rain World speedrunning. See people way better than even what I did this run, especially without a death in Shaded Citadel. Well, things just happen sometimes. Yeah.
Go bingo.
Otherwise, there is the Rain World event Discord, which is also connected to the Twitch, where you can talk to other people doing Rain World speedrunning, or the general Discord has their speedrun channel
めっ
as
ちゃいいな
well.
これ。
The last things I want to say here is with the other plush that we have here on the couch, there is going to be the next DLC for this game coming out in March, that being is the Watcher, not the Wanderer. I almost said
It's
it wrong
the
again.
Watcher.
It is the Watcher. So very excited for that to come out. If you are interested in this game, I would definitely recommend trying out. Is not the same as a lot of other games. A lot of exploration. You just kind of be a creature play as the characters in Downpour, a lot more story-based. I think they're really great on how it does a lot of things and bring a lot of people into it. Very interested to see how the Watcher goes. Again, I've been Ice37. You can find me on Ice37 or Far Too Cold on Twitch and the Blue Sky and Twitter space. This is White Paws. Find White Paws on Twitch. And I believe that's everything from me. Thank you all for watching my run of Rivulet Story.
いや本当に、コメンテーターの有識者の皆さんの
Thank you so much for that run
解
of
説
Rainbow
助かりました。
Downpour. What a cool game to watch. It's so visually
それでは、
interesting.
以
I'm so
上
thrilled
で
to have that at Awesome Games Done Quick 2025.
レインワールドダ
Stick
ウン
around.
プア
We are going to take a
カ
quick
テゴリ
break, and that'll actually do it for me for today. I'll
リ
be
ブレッ
back
ト
tomorrow for
ストー
some
リ
additional
ー
games
です
that I'll
ね
be hosting for.
こ
But
ち
I
ら
leave you in very
終了となり
capable
ます
hands. So stay
そ
tuned,
れでは
stick
一
around,
旦次の
and
準
go
備
get some
に
water if you
入
need
り
it.
ま
We'll be
すの
right
で
with you.
少々、席を外させていただきます。はい、AGDQ、2025、お楽しみいただいておりますでしょうか。司会進行、引き続き私木島しじまが担当させていただきます。よろしくお願いいたします。おっと失礼いたしました。